Okay. Today we start our debriefing of our observation of the reading lesson. The reading lesson was based on problem and solution of a first grade reading lesson. This debriefing is a part of a coaching cycle. No, it's fine. We will start. Okay. I'd like to thank you today for one, for letting me observe your classroom and for also being a part of my coaching cycle. As you know, a part of our coaching cycle, we have established a coaching goal. Part of the coaching goal, we then focus on a teaching strategy. And then we focus on a coaching move. We collect data, and then we reflect. So part of that, our coaching goal was focusing on explicit teach. But I kind of want to talk about the lesson that you did on the other day. After your lesson, what is something that you felt went really well with your lesson the other day?
I like that the kids were engaged. They was participating. They were participating. They was answering questions. What I liked was, I think more it was engagement. You know, they understood.
Yeah.
They understood the whole problem and solution.
What do you and at this? What do you think kind of helped cause the kids to be engaged? Because we kind of talked about this in your pre-conference, and I just want to. For me, I think I noticed when the kids sparked up and the little happy faces started coming, and I think it was something that you kind of pre-planned for in our pre-planning conversation. When did you find their engagement kind of rise? What was your choice that kind of really brought in their engagement?
They like the book. It had to be the book. You know,
Which book are you referencing?
To the Bunny and Bear at the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like they was able, because I feel like they was able to connect, because I'm pretty sure some of them go to movies, so I'm sure they was able to connect with the movie, but he couldn't see, so I was thinking they probably are imagining themselves, with someone to the front of them and they can't see. So I think the movies, the book was the part that was really engaged in.
So we did notice that you did have the student engagement there. The goal was the explicit teach. So in your connection to the student engagement and the explicit teach, we talked about a lot about that in your model? Did you notice? How do you feel in reflection to your I do, we do, you do portion of it? Do you feel that you saw elements of that in your instructional delivery?
In the I do part, I feel like I could have done better with the I do part, like more model, like more thinking aloud.
Okay.
I feel like I could have done more thinking aloud. The we do part, the we do part.
Let's go back to the thinking aloud in the I do. We talked about you referenced the book,
right?
The Bunny and the Bear book. Do you remember when you used that book?
Yes.
What you used that in the I do, we do, or the you do part?
We used that that was at the I. Was it the I do? It was the I do.
Oh, you used the bunny.
It was I used
the bunny and the bear. No, we
the
do.
Bunny and the bear and the we do. Yes.
Okay. So your I do book.
We used the one about the snow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
about.
Do you think the selection of the book choice impacted the think aloud, or could it have been another factor that caused the think aloud to be a little bit? Was it engagement that was the challenge in your think aloud, or what could have been a possible challenge?
No. The engagement, they was engaged, especially when I did the gumball, because they remember the gumball. I mean the engagement part. I mean, I think my part is the I do part, because I feel like that one. I don't know. I just feel like the I do part is the one where I have to kind of. I mean, 'cause they were engaged, but I feel like the I do part. I need to work on the I do part. I feel like the thinking aloud is more of my more my struggle.
During the I do part, what I you realize in your lesson, the I do part, when we pre-planned, you stated what was your focus in your prior lesson?
On the focus, it was the student identified the problem.
The problem.
The problem.
So you had already taught that.
We already taught
in your prior lesson.
Correct.
So in your I do part, what was your intended goal to model in your I do part?
My intended goal was for them to be able to identify the problem.
Was it to identify the problem, or were you trying to have them transition into recognizing the solution?
For the mini lesson, yes, it was exactly from identify into the solution of the problem.
Exactly.
Yes.
So were you in that model of the I do and pacing? Did you notice a lot of time? Was there possibility any noticing with the pacing during your I do in the problem area as opposed to focus on the solution?
Focus on solution. Yeah. I think I had to give a little like more detail, get more detailed, and maybe get more examples. I feel like just doing just one book. I don't know. I feel like just doing just like I had to be more clear.
Be more clear with the solution piece, or with the
problem piece.
With the problem piece. Do you feel the previous lesson they struggled with problem?
They struggled, yeah. I think it was the book I chose.
Okay, so book selection.
Book selection.
Okay, so probably, so you saw maybe some challenging with the resources.
Yes.
Challenges with book selection. Okay, that's, wow. You know,
Yeah, because the one I chose, the previous, like, they couldn't really figure out what was the problem. So it was the book, I chose Jamaica Fine. And so then,
I heard you say that in your teach. Jamaica Fine. Okay.
Yeah. Because I didn't, and could have been also I want to focus only the problem, so I didn't read the whole story.
Okay.
For them, because it was pretty lengthy. And I didn't read it. So like I just stopped at the problem, but I don't feel it. But maybe I should have done more and do more thinking aloud.
Okay.
For that.
Okay. So possibly, there was a challenge with the book. You've identified the desire, maybe more efforts with think aloud. But here's something else I hear you saying. I heard you say, you read Jamaica, you read Gumball, you read Bunny.
Right.
Bunny and Bear.
Right. And we looked at the Gumball Chase, which is the one.
And Gumball Chase. You have a number of books, so we can definitely talk about ways to maybe centralize our focus to like one book. Yeah, and then find ways to minimize our resources. But those are okay. So as you reflect on your lesson, what are you looking forward to carry on with a focus for next time?
For next time, just more, just when it comes to the explicit teaching.
Well,
like the modeling part. That's the part that I need to.
You still would like to grow in modeling more. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Grow in modeling more. Okay. Let's see. Okay. In modeling, here's my wondering. In your modeling, and I want you to think about. I was present in your room. In your model, how many of your students were close enough to hear your lesson, see your book, see your facial expressions in your interactions? Proximity, like, are able to actually interact and engage with the book?
How many?
Yeah. Do you think?
I was walking around with the book.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking around and I was showing them the book.
Because
But do you feel like, I mean, should I? I'm thinking, should I have had like give them a set of like a, you know, should I have done like a book where they could all have their own set?
Sometimes that, well, especially in, that's a good point you bring up. Wow, you're skipping ahead. Wow. Wow, I love that you said that, because I was going to go there at the end. I definitely, I don't want to give it to you, but you kind of give it to yourself. I definitely say maybe in the you do portion, like, oh my God, Castillo is right here. But when, definitely for independent practice, I was going to go there at the end. Like at the end when we had that piece where you say check for understanding, when you got to the you do part and you say, hey, find the solution, them having their own book would have been a beautiful part. But in your I'm sorry,
only for the dependent one, right?
so let's think about how could you have made that I do piece more accessible to the babies.
I feel like when they I mean, yes, even though I had a book, but when they actually have the book in front of them for the I do part.
Have you tried that part?
No, actually, no, I haven't. No, because I haven't tried like an I do part with them having
Not them. How can we get the babies closer to the book with you modeling it, you reading it, just them interacting, or them seeing it, them actually, you know, having access or proximity to the book without it being so far, without you having to walk it to them.
We could have done it on the rug.
Yeah.
Do a circuit time. I mean, you know, have them on the rug, and they would have been more.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll tell you, not too removed from the classroom, but I taught fourth graders who were taller than me, and those babies, they sat on the rug, and they loved being by my boots. Some of them will pull the diamonds off of them, and they loved it. Another thing is, I know it was a tiny book, but maybe we can find a big book.
A big book.
Yeah. You know, I started this in 2001, but now you guys have cameras.
Right.
You know.
The doc camera.
Have you ever used a document camera?
For like a read? No, not for like a reading lesson. No. I use it for like math or other subjects, but not for like reading lessons.
Yeah. So
that would have been
different ways.
Yeah.
I know. I'd like to say this. I know that books are on the internet, on YouTube. I caution. Why do you think I would say to not just hit play on YouTube? Why do I not want you to just hit play on YouTube?
Well, because I mean, even if I did a play on YouTube, I could have still done the modeling part.
You could still do it?
I mean, to press pause.
You promised me you'd press pause?
Yeah,
okay.
I could press pause, you know, and talk about it.
Yeah.
But why would you not think that's not a good option?
Well, no, if you promise you press pause.
No, definitely.
But
No, definitely.
well, I'll say this because note taking, pausing, having your notes, prepping your book for problem, for a solution, turning your talking points, things like that. Actually prepping the book for your questioning.
Yes,
I loved you said turn and talk to your partner. Do you remember some of the things you asked your students within the book? What did you ask your students within the book on that we do part?
We did. Oh, that was when I asked them how would the problem, what would be the solution to the problem? Remember when the raccoon couldn't see the raccoon? So before I read it, I asked them, what do you think the solution would be?
Yes, and you mentioned engagement. At that point, your student engagement popped up. My question there. You had your anchor chart prepped for that lesson. Say your question again.
What do you think
will be
the solution to the problem?
What could be a possible solution to the problem of this story? Okay, how could we have created? So we talked about sentence stems in our planning for this lesson, and we embedded them in our lesson. How could we have modeled our sentence stem for the students?
Okay, well, I would have said, turn and talk to your friend, and I wanted you to say the solution to the problem, or the problem was solved.
Yeah, and I love. Here's the thing, And sometimes we have to make adjustments to our
Okay.
lesson plan. I love the pause that you created. The problem could be solved
Okay.
by, and
Okay.
you know, the power of the dry erase pen.
Right.
The problem could be solved by, because at that point, your students then begin to make their predictions and turn and talk.
And that's the part that I was a little confused. 'Cause I was like, I know the lesson is not about prediction, but then, so I
Julie, you
was
did,
I was
yeah.
kind of thrown off. Like, I was like, do I just go ahead and read the solution to them and have them identify the solution, or have them be able to realize, oh, that was a solution, or do I have them predict? Because I know the lesson wasn't about predict. So I was like, so I was thrown off about that. I was like, do I have them predict, or do I just read the solution and have them identify that this was a solution?
So I played with that in my head when I went to my desk. But here's the thing: in their prediction, did they turn around and give you a solution? Did they turn around and give you, in their answers, that was a prediction? Did you gain the knowledge? And I have this question here, that they then understand what a solution is.
I did.
What were some of the answers that they gave you?
Well, some was he could buy another ticket and sit on the chair.
Yeah.
The other one, another one said, what did the other one say? The other one say, that
He would knock his ears
he
down.
would knock his ear down.
Yes.
Right. Another one said that he could. Well, the other one also said he could sit somewhere else. He could find a chair. So they did understand. You know, like the ones that asked, they understood.
So to that, the outcome was, you only have one kid that restated the problem.
The problem.
You know.
Right.
So
So maybe I could have said, So maybe I could have.
So your statement of a prediction, you got an understanding that some of the students did understand what a solution is. Can you think of ways that we could have gathered? I have this question here to help me. How could we have gathered data to know that more students understood the learning? We did turn and talk. And from that turn and talk, we got the answer from some partner pairs. How could we have gathered data to know that more of our students?
I could have had them do like the post-it note.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. I could have had them do like a post-it note, like draw a picture.
Yes.
Draw a picture with a post-it note. You know, it's like y'all make me nervous when y'all here. That's fine. That's what it is.
You feel that way, Miss Castillo?
I do all the time.
Okay, when I do coaching session with my Reading Academy participant, let me tell you, one district person, Christina Nolan, she's the coordinator, she came and then she provided feedback for me. So all in the district we have that mindset, like we're there for you just to support. But I understand. I remember when I was in the kinder classroom, every time I got a visitors, I mean, something happens that you are not like 100% natural. But don't feel, and Stephanie's great.
Yeah.
So
Because
so she wants to-
yesterday I did one. I bombed the one yesterday. I was like, man, what did I hit today?
Yeah.
I had the kids like that.
And Graciela knows I am very organic. I'm very off the record. Even the state of Texas is gonna see. I have these scripts here, but when I get to talking to you guys, I go with the flow. These questions I am asking what's on this paper, but I ask it leads. So like with the data, yes, you question. You have two on paper that we know got it, and some kind of way I remember this kid right here. He restated problem, but so we know that some of them, we know that more of them know what the solution is. But as you state, you know that we could have gotten the understanding of more students by posting, you know, or the second part, turn and talk. How could we have structured turn and talk where it's like pre-planned for it, where it's not like we have these like circle tables, right? You talked about the carpet. Look at this carpet right now. How can we pre-plan for turn and talks where you walked around the table, right? You walked around them, but like this table has five. So at a table of 5, if I do a turn and talk, one man's out. So how can we do turn and talk where everybody has a partner? Think about maybe the carpet. How can, or there are different ways. How can we pre-plan for 100% turn and talk accountability?
On the rug. You mean on the rug?
On the rug.
On the rug?
Okay.
Well,
I'm biased to the rug, but think rug first, or if you have a system for table.
I mean, even though there was 5, I told the other one to join.
Okay.
You know, they joined this group, so it'll be like a group of 3 and a group of 2.
Okay. Are they pre-established? Like, do I know?
Yes.
They partners are pre-planned.
Yeah.
If I'm Kimberly, I know my partner's
you know
David.
Your partner is the one right beside you. Exactly. Right. And if it's on the carpet, then it's the one that's right. The one next to you. Like your elbow partner. You know, tell your elbow partner. You know, the ones right beside you.
Your
so they already know.
But I have 2 shoulders.
They know. No. They know. Like the one right next to you. The one that's right next to you. So if I had like in the row. Like in the orange row, if that's they know turn and talk to the one that's right in front. That's in front? No, it's the one that's right beside you.
I got it.
That's all. Maybe
this is just so we can you see. So if you and I are sitting here and we're like, no, that shoulder, no this shoulder, no that eyeball. Okay, so these are the kind of things. Hey, it's no worries. These are the kind of things that we kind of talk about and plan out in like coaching cycle. And we don't pick a million of these goals. Like honestly, you have an understanding of what we can all grow in all of these things. Even on you did the I do, we do, you do things like that. We'll talk about, but we're trying to find like an initial starting point. Definitely establishing a system of how can we for one red, and if you're on red, your partner's always orange. That's undoubtable. And that's just one system. I never have to look. Right. If you're in yellow, your partner's always green. Never. That's not me saying you have to do that. Yeah. But that way, there's never a lack of clarity. It's and then sometimes there are things we have protocols in turn and talk. Eyes, knees, chest. Things that things later that we can talk about. But those are just and with that, then it helps support you in the system of when you walk around. When you walk around, so then it won't be the 5th person, just goes and does that. So that's when I was asking, how do you get 100%? How do you know? Because then, even if you did, what did your partner say? Well, now we know what 2 partner pairs. Even if you had a partner checklist or a partner picture, or tell me what your partner said. Or if a partner said nothing, then just different things. Oh, you're writing different things. But just things to get our wheels turning. How did you feel the management of the lesson went?
I feel for like maybe table 1 and table 2, there was communicating expressive, but I feel like these 2 tables not much. Like.
And it could have been, like you said, we talked about a lot of things that could have contributed to that.
Right.
The size of the book, the location of the book, just different things that, within the lesson, the assessment data. So, post-it notes, skip through this. I'm just running, I've been kind of in and out of this. How much time do we have for your...
Oh, we still have. We still have 15 minutes.
Okay, excellent. We talked about the prior knowledge. With although you say they had challenges with the problem, ironically, you said with the solution, are there any portions of the solution that you think we saw some areas with solution with some students? Is this a lesson that you look forward to spiraling back to, or do you feel that the problem and the solution you would teach together? You have to reteach together again.
Yeah, it will. Yes, I believe. Because not all of them some of them I saw that they wasn't able to identify, you know, the problem or know the solution, but it was more for like my, you know, for like my little babies. You know, I feel like they wasn't able to really comprehend the problem solution. So I would definitely maybe do that like in a small group. You know, do the problem and solution with them, because I feel like my higher ones, they understood it.
Yeah.
But
Okay, because you did collect data from, and so when you reviewed the student samples, they overall you did notice that
yes, the even when I ask them, even when I will ask, you know, I will already explain and ask, and they wasn't able to, you know, tell me like a problem or the solution. So I believe I will pull those aside in small group and maybe do another reteach with that.
Outside of some of the technology that we shared, you have this board. Do you have any desires to like embed any have you ever incorporated this board for technology with your mini lesson?
For like a reading lesson, like a, I don't believe I have actually. Not for a reading lesson.
Okay, so like as we share it, that, you know, just using that document camera to do so. How did the instructional strategies address all of the students' learning needs? Like, what were some considerations, like when you planned this lesson, how did you ensure that it reached all of the student needs? Anything that you considered in pre-planning?
Well, I was trying to, for the pre-planning, I repeated, you know, a few times about what was the problem or solution. Like, I repeated so they could, because some, and I try to speak a little bit slower because some may not understand if I speak too fast. So I was trying to, and I was trying to make sure not to use like really big words for some, you know, especially like my little ones. They, you know, kind of have to be like maybe like simple. It has to be simple words or not too much. So when I was planning, I was trying, you know, but then it's kind of hard because you have to use all the words, all the vocabulary, the academic words.
Chica, I hear you say, dígame. You talk too much. Why so many words? Where are the pictures? Donde?
That's true.
Hey.
Yeah.
What can we do to make the kids, okay? So you're teaching problem and solution. How could the kids struggle with problem and solution? I see the graphic organizer. What is a problem?
Yeah.
What is a solution? What could we have given the kids? I'm sorry. What could we have given the kids? I don't know what a problem is. You keep telling me what could we have given the kids to let them? You keep telling me words. Show me. What is a problem? What could you have given me to help me know?
I could have drawn or had some visual. I had a visual where like it showed.
Sure, and I can support you with that. Co-creating an anchor chart. You know, or you know, having an anchor chart. You know, if you co-create, they're not going to be the most beautiful, and bring the pretty one the next day.
Exactly.
You know, but having that visual, and the thing is, we have them. We have language learners at our campus, but all kids need them. You know, so having that anchor chart to support. Sometimes also too, you had the bunny and stuff in the book. Maybe not copyright laws, but print a little bunny, you know, with the problem or something like that. Having it there, but just having visuals, the visuals there to help support those the learners there. So that goes into like resources and materials. We kind of talked about that. We talked about the prior knowledge. Stay with me. We talked about the environment supporting all of the needs of the students. Are there any other environmental supports that you think could have helped to impact the student learning, or resources that could have helped to support the student learning?
No, well, just like you mentioned right now, like the visual, that would help. That would help. Yeah, no, environmental, no.
Okay, so resources, and the thing is, we talk about a lot about learning behavior, student learning, and of course, we always talk about student data. So I noticed you had your check for understanding at the end. Where does this go afterwards? Like, is there an interactive notebook or?
Yes, they have an interactive journal.
Okay.
Where they glue it to.
So, like, maybe having, do they ever like record things in an interactive notebook?
They do.
They do.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. They record. Yeah, like or sometimes also what they've been other times where I will leave it on. I will have them. I will post like the post-it notes. I will tape to the anchor chart. I would do that, but but for the most part, I normally use the interactive journal.
Okay. Okay. And then sometimes, like, if it's easier for you, maybe I know sometimes we have a dual support of a para, having these things pre-pasted or so. I don't think, just different ideas.
Okay.
With the instructional, like, where we talked about partners and just kind of helping with the management and things like that, and turn and talk protocols. Are there like different grouping strategies, or we talked about like books and resources? When you had your send off, or you had your last check for understanding, and we talked in our pre-planning about having a story, and that was an error on even in our planning. The send off, we talked, it could have been a book. How can we ensure that the book is supportive of each student needs? You mentioned Charles, you have Yahida, we have the difference of students. If we were sending off, if we were doing a check for understanding of solutions, how can we ensure that we're meeting the different students' needs at their level?
How can we make sure that we are meeting the student needs?
Still with the target being solutions.
Okay.
Instead of it being that story that they listen to, we still want them to see the book, feel the book, but we have kids with different needs. What could we have done to close out the lesson, but still check for each student's understanding?
Well, okay. Well, I mean, while they are doing, I'll be walking around. I'll walk around. Then I could see, like, if Jahida doesn't understand, then if Jahida, for example, if she doesn't seem to understand, then I will be asking her questions. Okay, like asking, like, having her tell me, okay, what happened here? Do you remember what happened? I may bring the book back to open the book, and let's go over the pages again. Like what happened. So I would basically take it down to like a lower pace for her, and just a slower pace, and just asking her questions. I will give her an example. I will give her an example to see if she's able to connect, the problem and the solution to maybe, like I would ask her a question, like, like when you, I will give her like an example, because I know that she likes to eat. So I would ask her a question. I was like, okay. So I would ask her, when you are if you're hungry, what, the part, okay, what's the problem? You know, so I will give her something where she's able to connect and understand. You know, like so then what does mommy do? She will say, mommy cook. Okay, so what happened first? You know, that like what was the problem? The problem was that Jahida was hungry.
Right.
Well, how was that solved? You know, so I would try to give her some type of connection for her to connect and understand. My higher ones, I think my higher ones I will ask them give me another solution.
Oh
You
wow!
know, like what would you
Alternative
do?
solutions.
What would you
I
do
like
different?
that. Wow, wow. Hey.
That's what I would.
You're so funny. All I was gonna say is, as your coach, when we plan these lessons and we were in planning meetings, we pull those books. We find multiple books in the fiction genre that maybe at different levels and things like that. Just plan for differentiation and grouping. But I do like that. At different levels, they can come up, making those real life connections to the things, but just ensuring that the kids have and all of this still all ties back to our original topic when we started this. I keep going back to management. I your goal that you stated was I do, we do, you do. But I'm gonna give you a trophy in that category and say from last year to this year, you have grown in this. I'm proud of you. You have really. We're gonna still be practicing here,
Yes.
but we're gonna target some management supports
Okay.
if you are in agreement. Just different
Okay, good.
things
Okay.
to help it
Right.
flow,
Okay.
to help the instruction just flow more. The kids are good, and I don't want management to be a 4-letter word. It's not.
Right.
It's not a 4-letter word, but it's just different things
Right.
like that. Having those little carpet, like
Yeah.
it's not just to be pretty and
Right.
colorful.
Right.
Just it helps us with systems.
Yeah.
Pre-planning books, availability, access, books in front of the kids' eyes, kids sitting near you, just different things that help the lesson flow.
Okay.
You content. You've been studying this. It's evident. Pacing was a second thing. We those are things that we'll build in planning and team planning, and also sometimes personally. But it's just the management and flow. We talked about different things here, sentence stems, and being a little more explicit with just making sure we say those things.
Yeah.
But our core target is management and proximity.
Okay.
I had one more
Okay.
thing, and then in that management, you mentioned think alouds in your instruction. Also, orally thinking aloud. How, like this question is, how is respect for all modeled when you're teaching? Oh wow, Charles, Kimberly, I like the way you raise your hand. Oh wow, Miss Johnson, in your turn and talk, I noticed you use your sentence stem. Miss Johnson, when you said I solved the problem, I predict the problem can be solved by the bunny dropping his ears. I noticed you shared. Notice, it's instructional.
Okay.
However, I'm still
Right.
embedding management.
Right.
It's something how it's a marriage. Make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So it's like, it comes in. I noticed. I like the way you repeated the learning intention. Yahida, what did you say the learning intention? What did Miss Castillo say the learning intention is? The learning intention is I can describe how the characters solve the problems. Oh wow, I like the way Yahida said that. Just different things. In doing so, you're praising the positive behavior, and you get more buy-in. You'll get more buy-in on friends who came to the carpet in the purple zone. Wow. The friends who came to the carpet in purple zone, you're ready to learn. Those friends in the purple zone, they're able to turn in their solutions on the with their post-it notes. Those friends, you see? So
Okay.
now I have a data turn in,
Right.
and I have a management system.
Yeah.
Okay? I have friends with the yellow, all friends with the yellow in the yellow block. You guys will be responsible for telling me a solution that the bunny can give. But friends in the yellow, you're going to be able to give me the solution from the bear's perspective. Management and embedding curriculum. Make sense?
Yes.
Now everyone has a task.
Right.
Everyone has curriculum, and they have an accountability assessment piece. How much time do we have? I went over time.
Yeah, that's good.
What's new? Well, Miss Castillo, my final question. We do have we stated these, but again, I praise your strength and growth and instructional model. We'll continue. I'm sorry, and we do gradual release model. But can we be in agreement that we'll continue to work on some of the management and proximity things while embedding those things? Thank you for meeting with me today. I look forward to our planning and reading on Tuesday. Absolutely. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Castillo. Very nice meeting you.
So, she was very open to the feedback. Per our last meeting, I know that we talked about our noticing and observation, and we listed that we noticed in the lesson immediately after observing her lesson that management and proximity was what stood out. We had the 5 tables, the 5 tables with 5 kids at each table, and the big noticing for me, as I mentioned in the conference with her, was 5 kids. How do you partner that? And I kind of addressed that in the meeting. She said, show the partners and turn and talk. And I'm like, okay, but everyone has a shoulder, so who's the partner? You and I talked about me possibly supporting that in a coaching move, such as teaching in tandem, and I tried to embed assigning turning methods for turn and talk partners. And then you and I also talked about in our post-conference last time, turn and talk protocols, which is, I'm going to pull some of our district resources on that. I think I mentioned those to her. I called myself modeling some of those to her. I told her there are methods with your eyes. The students' knees should be facing, their chests should be to one another, which she was open to that. I don't think she was aware of it, but I was trying to show her that everything has a move, and that even though some things seem management, they're married to curriculum. They are married to data. So you and I also talked about, I know you probably saw me do this, how to bring kids to the carpet and call them my table. You and I talked about so much, and I tried to hone it in. We talked about she needs to model the think aloud, which she highlighted. She brought that up. She said, and when I got a little stuck there, so I know you probably have notes for me on that. She said, I need to model the think aloud, and I was trying to get her to see that she stood too long in the problem. She stood too long. I was trying to get her to see that problem could have been there already, that she had taught it, but we did gather that she was highlighting that the kids struggled with the problem, but they did gather an understanding of the solution. So, in summary, at the conclusion, she did agree that management was an area that she needed to target, and she wants to grow from there. I reminded her of our district cycle process, the coaching goal, the teaching strategy, the coaching move, the data collection, and the reflection. And my hope is that as you and I debrief, that we had in the conversation look fors today, that my conversation today was centered around the goal and or the strategy. So I kept referencing the goal. Her goal was to focus on the explicit model. I commended her. I said, hey, you say you want to learn the I do, we do, you do. She went through, but I did tell her that doesn't mean she's a pro. I'm not giving her a trophy, but that I see growth in her from last year to this year. That evidence of reflective questioning, that I was reflecting on our pre-conversation, that I focused on the conversation, coach, teacher, and observer. And I did a little bit on next steps, but you'll give me feedback on that. And that
her voice was evident. I wanted her to talk. Sometimes she gave me more than I expected, but it was good. Like when I asked her how would she differentiate with the students, she talked about real life experiences, and I just was talking about pre-planning for books, like you highlighted for me, that Stephanie, all that oral stuff, she has to stop. Visuals. So yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.